Alright, let's see if I can get it right this time. Today, we will be reading the introduction to Johnny Got His Gun, the introduction specifically by Dalton Trumbo, who of course is the author of this work. I don't know if this introduction is in every edition of Johnny Got His Gun, or if it's just this one specifically, but I wanted to read it today because it feels painfully relevant. World War I began like a summer festival, all billowing skirts and golden epaulets. Millions upon millions cheered from the sidewalks, while plumed Imperial Highness, Serenities, Field Marshals, and other such fools paraded through the capital cities of Europe at the head of their shining legions. It was the season of generosity, a time for boasts, bands, poems, songs, and innocent prayers. It was an August made palpitant and breathless by the prenuptial nights of young gentlemen officers and the girls they left permanently behind them. One of the Highland regiments went over the top in its first battle behind 40 kilted bagpipers, skirling away for all they were worth at machine guns. 9 million corpses later, when the band stopped and the Serenity started running, the wail of bagpipes would never again sound quite the same. It was the last of the Romantic Wars, and Johnny Got His Gun was probably the last American novel written about it before an entirely different affair called World War II got underway. The book has a weird political history. Written in 1938 when pacifism was an anthem to the American left and most of the center. It went to the printers in the spring of 1939 and was published on September 3rd, 10 days after the Nazi-Soviet Pact and 2 days after the start of World War II. Shortly thereafter, on the recommendation of Mr. Joseph Wharton Lippincott, who felt it would stimulate sales, serial rights were sold to the Daily Worker of New York City. For months thereafter, the book was a rallying point for the left. After Pearl Harbor, its subject matter seemed as inappropriate to the times as the shriek of bagpipes. Mr. Paul Blanchard, speaking of Army censorship in The Right to Read, 1955, says a few pro-Axis foreign language magazines had been banned, as well as 3 books, including Dalton Trumbo's pacifist novel, Johnny Get Your Gun, produced during the period of the Hitler-Stalin Pact. Since Mr. Blanchard fell into what I hope was unconscious error, both as to the period of the book's production and the title under which it was produced, I can't place too much faith in his story of its suppression. Certainly, I was not informed of it. I received a number of letters from servicemen overseas who had read it through Army libraries, and in 1945, I myself ran across a copy in Okinawa while fighting was still in progress. If, however, it had been banned and I had known about it, I doubt that I should have protested very loudly. There are times when it may be needful for certain private rights to give way to the requirements of a larger public good. I know that's a dangerous thought, and I shouldn't wish to carry it too far, but World War II was not a romantic war. As the conflict deepened and Johnny went out of print altogether, its unavailability became a civil liberties issue with the extreme American right. Peace organizations and mother groups from all over the country showered me with fiercely sympathetic letters denouncing Jews, communists, New Dealers, and international bankers who had suppressed my novel to intimidate millions of true Americans who demanded an immediate negotiated peace. My correspondents, a number of whom used elegant stationery and sported Tidewater addresses, maintained a network of communications that extended to the detention camps of pro-Nazi internees. They published the price of the book above $6 for a used copy, which displeased me for a number of reasons, one of them fiscal. They proposed a national rally for peace now, with me as a cheerleader. They promised, and delivered, a letter campaign to pressure the publisher for a fresh edition. Nothing could have convinced me so quickly that Johnny was exactly the sort of book that shouldn't be reprinted until the war was at an end. The publishers agreed, at the insistence of friends who felt my correspondence' efforts could adversely affect the war effort. I foolishly reported their activities to the FBI, but when a beautifully matched pair of investigators arrived at my house, their interest lay not in the letters, but in me. I had the feeling that it still does, and it serves me right. After 1945, those 2 or 3 new additions which appeared found favor with the general left and apparently were completely ignored by everybody else, including all those passionate wartime mothers. It was out of print again during the Korean War, at which time I purchased the plates rather than having sold them to the government for a conversion into munitions, and there the story ends, or begins. Reading it once more after so many years, I've had to resist a nervous itch to touch it up here, to change it there, to clarify, correct, elaborate, cut. After all, the book is 20 years younger than I, and I've changed so much, and it hasn't. Or has it? Is it possible for anything to resist change, even a mere commodity that can be bought, buried, banned, damned, praised, or ignored for all the wrong reasons? Probably not. Johnny held a different meaning for 3 different wars. Its present meaning is what each reader conceives it to be, and each reader is gloriously different from every other reader, and each is also changing. I've let it remain as it was to see what it is. Los Angeles, March 25th, 1959. Dalton Trumbo. Addendum, 1970. 11 years later, numbers have dehumanized us. Over breakfast coffee, we read 40,000 American dead in Vietnam. Instead of vomiting, we reach for the toast. Our morning rush through crowded streets is not to cry murder, but to hit that trough before somebody else gobbles our share. An equation. 40,000 dead young men equals 3,000 tons of bone and flesh, 124,000 pounds of brain matter, 50,000 gallons of blood, 1,840,000 years of life that will never be lived, 100,000 children who will never be born. The last we can afford. There are too many starving children in the world anyway. Do we scream in the night when it touches our dreams? No, we don't dream about it, because we don't think about it. We don't think about it because we do not care about it. We are much more interested in law and order, so that American streets may be safe while we transform those of Vietnam into flowing sewers of blood, which we replenish each year by forcing our sons to choose between a prison cell here or a coffin there. Every time I look at the flag, my eyes fill with tears. Mine too. If the dead men mean nothing to us, except on Memorial Day weekend, when the national freeway is clotted with surfers, swimmers, skiers, picnickers, campers, hunters, fishers, footballers, and beer busters, what of our 300,000 wounded? Does anyone know where they are? How they feel? How many arms, legs, ears, noses, mouths, faces, penises they've lost? How many are deaf or dumb or blind or all 3? How many are single or double or triple or quadruple amputees? How many will remain immobile for the rest of their days? How many hang on disintegrated vegetables, quietly breathing their lives away in small, dark, secret rooms? Right, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Army and Navy hospitals, the Director of Medical Sciences at the National Medicine, the Veterans Administration, the Office of the Surgeon General, and be surprised by what you don't learn. One agency reports 726 admissions for amputee services since January 1965. Another reports 3,011 amputees since the beginning of the fiscal year 1968. The rest is silence. The annual report of the Surgeon General Medical Statistics of the United States Army ceased publication in 1954. The Library of Congress reports that the Army Office of the Surgeon General for Medical Statistics does not have figures on single or multiple amputees. Either the government doesn't think them important, or, in the words of a researcher for one of the national television networks, the military itself, while sure of how many tons of bombs it has dropped, is unsure of how many arms, legs its men have lost. If there are no concrete figures, at least we are beginning to get comparative ones. Proportionately, Vietnam has given us 8 times as many paralytics as World War II, 3 times as many total disabled, 35% more amputees. Senator Cranston of California concludes that out of every 100 Army veterans receiving compensation for wounds received in action in Vietnam, 12.4% are totally disabled. Totally. But exactly how many hundreds or thousands of dead while living does that give us? We don't know. We don't ask. We turn away from them. We avert our eyes, ears, nose, mouth, face. Why should I look? It wasn't my fault, was it? It was, of course, but no matter. Time presses. Death waits even for us. We have a dream to pursue, the whitest white hope of them all, and we must follow and find it before the light fails. So long, losers. God bless. Take care. We'll be seeing you. Los Angeles, January 3rd, 1970. Dalton Trumbo.